Hello and welcome to BYJU'S IAS. Before we begin today's daily quiz, I would like to remind you that if you're finding our initiatives to be helpful, please like our videos, share your comments, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. So let's get started with the daily quiz for today. The first question: which of the following statements are incorrect? India's annual health index has been developed by the Niti Aayog with technical assistance from the World Bank in consultation with the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. Kerala has consistently topped the index. Both the given statements are correct, and hence option D is the right answer. Because the question is asking you to identify the incorrect statements, and as both the statements are correct, option D would be the right answer. This question was taken up because according to this article in the Hindu, Kerala has again topped Niti Aayog's health index. See, this annual health index for India was introduced 4 years ago by the Niti Aayog, and it has been developed by the Niti Aayog in association with the World Bank and the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. For 4 consecutive years, Kerala has again emerged at the top, followed by Tamil Nadu and Telangana. Whereas states such as Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, and Madhya Pradesh have been ranked at the bottom. So, for the sake of prelims, kindly remember the top 3 performing states and the 3 worst performing states. This index provides for state-wise performance with regard to key health indicators, and more than 20 parameters are measured and captured, and we can divide these parameters into 3 broad domains. This includes health outcomes, governance and information, key inputs and processes. Under health outcomes, parameters such as neonatal mortality rate, under 5 mortality rate, sex ratio at birth, etc. are measured. Under governance and information, parameters such as institutional deliveries, average occupancy of senior officers in key posts earmarked for health, and the others are measured. Then under key inputs and processes, parameters such as shortfall in healthcare providers, functional medical facilities, birth and death registration, treatment success rate of tuberculosis, and the others are captured. Based on the performance of these parameters, states are ranked accordingly, and the state of Kerala has been a consistent top performer. Now let's look at the second question. The Sabar tribe can be mainly found in Madhya Pradesh, Odisha, or West Bengal. The correct answer is option C, 2 and 3 only. See, the Sabar tribe is a Adivasi community that belongs to the much larger Munda ethnic group of central and eastern India. During the colonial times, the Sabar people were classified as criminal tribes under the Criminal Tribe Act of 1871. So as a result, the Sabar people have faced a lot of oppression, discrimination, social stigma and ostracism at the hands of the British and as well as at the hands of the upper classes and other ethnic groups. This community is mainly found in the states of Odisha and West Bengal, and a small group can be found in the state of Jharkhand as well. The Sabar tribe happens to be one of the most backward tribal communities in India, and they report very poor development indicators. This question on the Sabar tribe was taken up because in the Hindu, the government of Jharkhand has published an advertisement in which the state government of Jharkhand has claimed that Sabar tribe families have been recognized with their rights over forest land. Now let's look at the third question. Which of the following statements are correct? Under the Foreign Contribution Regulation Act or FCRA, registration is mandatory for any NGO or association to receive foreign funds or donations. The act is enforced by the Ministry of Finance. Amongst the given statements, the second statement is incorrect. So option A is the right answer. See, the FCRA was enacted in 2010 and has been later amended to regulate the acceptance and utilization of foreign funds and foreign contribution by certain individuals, NGOs, and associations. This act is enforced by the Ministry of Home Affairs because foreign funding could be potentially misused by certain organizations to threaten the security and the integrity of the nation. So, on security grounds, foreign funds and donations received by some organizations are regulated by the Home Ministry through the provisions of the FCRA. Under the Act, NGOs and associations which are receiving foreign funds and donations, they have to register themselves with the Home Ministry and obtain a license or a certificate which is periodically reviewed and renewed by the Home Ministry for these organizations to be eligible to receive foreign funds. But of late, the Act has become very controversial because it has been alleged that the Government of India is using the law to block foreign funds and donations to several legitimate organizations as well. Many popular NGOs like Amnesty International, Greenpeace, and the others have been at the receiving end of FCRA provisions. But the government has justified its actions by stating that many NGOs and organizations are misusing foreign funds to hamper India's economic growth and to threaten India's security. This topic is in news because according to this article in the Hindu, the Missionaries of Charity, a popular NGO based out of Kolkata, has been denied FCRA nod by the Home Ministry for receiving foreign funds. Missionaries of Charity is a Catholic religious congregation that was set up by Nobel Peace Laureate Mother Teresa for carrying out social welfare activities in the country. But this organization has also attracted a lot of controversy on the grounds that it has been misusing foreign funds to promote conversion, that is, religious conversion, and hence its functioning and operations have been controversial in the country. In a latest development, the Union Home Ministry has refused to renew the FCRA registration of Missionaries of Charity by stating that some adverse inputs have been received against the organization. But however, opposition parties and the civil society have condemned the Government of India for targeting NGOs and organizations, and they have alleged that the government is misusing the FCRA provisions. Now let's look at the fourth question. Which of the following statements are correct? Flex fuel vehicles are capable of running on a combination of 100% petrol or 100% bioethanol and their blends. Ministry for Road Transport and Highways is working with automobile manufacturers to manufacture flex fuel vehicles complying with BS6 norms in the country. Both the statements are correct. Option C is the right answer. See, flex fuel vehicles are those vehicles which are designed to run on a flexible combination of fuels. Such vehicles can either run on 100% petrol or 100% bioethanol or even on their blends consisting of different ratios of petrol and bioethanol. Such flex fuel vehicles are being promoted by the Road Transport and Highways Ministry, which is working with the auto sector to produce such vehicles in India that can comply with the emission norms that have been laid down under Bharat Stage 6. This development has been reported in an article in the Hindu, and according to the Road Transport Ministry, the introduction of flex fuel vehicles will bring down the fuel demand in the country, thereby reducing India's import bill. And since they consume bioethanol, which is produced using agricultural outputs, it could also bring benefits to farmers and help increase their income. And also bioethanol is said to be more environment friendly as compared to petrol or diesel, and hence it could also help in tackling pollution. So keeping these benefits in mind, the Road Transport Ministry has started working with the auto sector as per the vision of Atmanirbhar Bharat, so that the industry can produce these vehicles in the next 6 months in order to promote the ethanol transport fuel policy of the government. Now let's take up a question from the 2020 prelims paper. The experiment will employ a trio of spacecraft flying in formation in the shape of an equilateral triangle that has sides 1 million kilometers long with lasers shining between the craft. The experiment in question refers to Voyager 2, New Horizons, LISA Pathfinder, Evolved LISA. The correct answer is option D. See, in 2015, the European Space Agency launched LISA Pathfinder to demonstrate a laser interferometry based technology that could employ spacecrafts to detect gravitational waves. Based on the success of this prototype, the European Space Agency is looking to launch Evolved LISA probably in 2034 or maybe in 2037. And this is an ambitious project which will employ 3 spacecrafts flying in a triangular formation, that too as an equilateral triangle with sides of more than 1 million kilometers. This image over here depicts the design of the project, which will consist of three separate spacecrafts flying in an equilateral triangle formation, and each side could be anywhere between 1 million kilometers to 5 million kilometers. By maintaining this orientation, the spacecrafts will go around the Sun, as seen in this image over here, to detect the presence of gravitational waves in outer space. Now, coming to the fact of the day, let's talk about Log4j vulnerability, which was recently in news. Today, The Hindu carries an explainer article that helps us understand what is the Log4j vulnerability. See, Log4j is a widely used software logging library in Java software. It is used to log the activities of the software and is widely used in developing open source software and as well as proprietary software. Just a few days ago, an alarming report came out according to which this library feature of Java software had a critical security vulnerability which could be exploited by cyber attackers. This vulnerability in the software was publicly disclosed, and it was reported that the vulnerability could be exploited to insert and execute arbitrary or malicious codes in order to infect a targeted system. But however, experts later noted that the possibility of exploiting this vulnerability is limited to few types of systems and to few environments, thus bringing some relief to most software developers and companies around the world. The detection of this vulnerability represented a major threat because the Java software and the Log4j library is widely used across the software industry, and hence it had the potential to not just affect open source softwares, but also proprietary applications and softwares developed by software companies. Once the vulnerability was detected and disclosed, the Apache Foundation, which is a not-for-profit entity that supports the development and maintenance of several open source platforms, came out with a security patch to plug this security gap. But even before that, once the vulnerability was publicly disclosed, several cyber attacks were mounted. But fortunately, the security upgrade by Apache Foundation and the security measures taken by companies around the world helped in mitigating the cybersecurity risk. Through a timely response, the global information security community employed several remediation techniques to plug the security gap that existed due to the Log4j vulnerability, and thus they managed to secure most of the software applications. Now, one doubt you might have is that whether this is a zero-day vulnerability. See, a zero-day vulnerability or a zero-day exploit is such a vulnerability in the software code which is not known to the developer themselves and it is not publicly known. So when such a vulnerability is exploited by attackers, we refer to that as a zero-day exploit. So before the Log4j vulnerability was discovered, it was a zero-day vulnerability. But now that it was discovered and publicly disclosed, it is no longer a zero-day vulnerability. So with this, I would like to end the discussion for today. Thanks for watching.